You may all go to hell, but I'm going to Texas. That's what Elon Musk said. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Internet Dad Show. Good grief. Welcome to the Internet Dad Show. I'm JJ. That's Deacon. We are your Internet Dads today, and we meet Monday through Friday here on rumble.com/Internet Dads to read the news and talk about all the important things that are happening in the world and give you all the answers to all the problems that are happening in the world. And you know what? Most importantly, to lift your spirits for this day, because every single day you go out into the world, young man, and you are battling evil, even if you don't know it. And part of that evil is just to get you down, to oppress you, to bring down your spirits. But I'm here to raise you up and say, you are made in the image of God and you have a purpose. And that purpose, I don't know what that part is, but it's definitely there. Oh man. Jeez.
I'm just kidding.
God, trying to lift people up here, Deke.
I'm just teasing you, dude.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
You're doing a good job. You've lifted me up.
I would say when the response is a hardening yawn, I think maybe not.
That was a joke. Come on.
All right.
You are pretty positive, though.
Well, like
you're much more
if you don't,
positive than I
let me ask you a question. If you don't make you have a positive attitude, well, who's gonna?
That's exactly right. I mean, it's exactly right.
Stop being weak out there, weak and sad, man. Stand up and be happy. Change your world right now, starting right there between your ears. Oh my God, I can't believe it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that may or may not be watching later, I am so pleased, Deke. I'm so excited to introduce one of the most important people probably in my life, if I'm honest. I haven't spoken to him in more than 10 years, but this man that I'm about to bring on the show absolutely made a change in my life. And I'll tell you what, I know for sure that he made a change. He made a strong impact in the lives of probably hundreds, if not thousands of people. And he did it one-on-one, face-to-face. This here is Professor Payne. Good morning, sir.
Jason, how are you?
I'm so great. I'm so excited to talk to you, especially in our current climate. So, hey, Lee. So,
it's been a while, brother.
It's been a long time. So, this man here is professor of political science at Stephen F. Austin University, and he's one of the pivotal figures in my life. In fact, I would venture to say that I even walked down some of his road. When I was in college, this man was one of my professors, and he was probably almost certainly one of the only stalwart conservative, if not conservative, at least opposite of crazy liberal voices on the campus.
More conservative libertarian.
Yeah. Free. I have a lot of questions for you. I'm sure. But I do want to say this. When Professor Payne was my professor, he told me about his journey as going from a worker at Walmart, if I remember, to eventually becoming a professor at this university. And part of that journey was making a huge trip from East Texas down to Houston every week for a long time to get his doctorate at the University of Houston. And I did some of that. I didn't finish, but I did a lot of that. I made that trip every week for a long time until it put too much of a strain on my relationship. And, I made some different choices in life. But
yeah, well, I'm single. That's a little different.
I didn't my wife will not be surprised. I didn't take that calculus into my head. I didn't make that part of the calculation. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us. We are so happy to have you. One of the reasons that I wanted you to come on the show is because Dr. Payne recently wrote a book. And Deke, I don't know if you're ready to run it yet. Yeah, you want to?
No.
Not ready to run it yet. Okay.
No.
So
I'm putting together a little, like a radio spot for you, because that's my art. And right now, I was telling JJ I've been working on it, and I basically have the sketch and the background done. I need to add shading and art, coloring and everything else before the actual piece of audio art is done.
Deacon is a 30-year award-winning DJ.
I can't wait to see it. That'll be cool.
Yeah. You can see it with your ears. It's awesome.
He's an audio engineer, so it's going to be like a sound piece.
I immediately liked you because of the broom and Captain America's shield, the sword. I'm like,
that's Gandalf's sword, Glamdring.
Oh yes, nice. I was trying to make out the sword.
Oh my god,
and the trident in the back.
Oh, the trident is Aquaman's.
Hi,
Okay,
Dr. Payne.
Cassandra, how are you?
I have to go to work so
yeah,
bad.
she's got to run. She's doing summer work. Okay, sir.
Yeah, I got a lot of. This is my geek room. My home office is my geek room.
It's pretty rad. Yeah. So Deke is so excited because he talks about like Lord of the Rings sometimes, and I'm just like, that movie they would walk.
No.
Oh yeah, I got both of Gandalf's staffs over here on the side by the window too.
Oh, see, yes,
the old staff and the new staff.
My Star Wars friends disowned me when I made the statement that the Lord of the Rings movies were now the better movies than Star Wars, and they completely just stopped talking to me.
Well, it depends on the Star Wars you're talking about. The original
well,
three,
at the time, it was just the three.
The original three, when I was a kid, man, those are great. But I'm with you. Lord of the Rings, that trilogy, Jackson just killed it.
And I've told JJ, because I don't think you've watched them all, have you? You haven't.
You haven't watched all the Lord of the Rings?
No, I watched the three. I didn't watch the Hobbit ones. I watched the original ones. Those movies came out in the early 2000s, and 3 hours is a very long time to sit in a theater.
See, this is my argument, though. You don't need to watch the 3-hour version. You only have to watch the extended edition versions that's 4 hours. Those are the only ones that you can watch.
That's the only ones I watch.
Yeah, those are the only ones I watch. If the edited version is on, I don't watch it.
No. Now, and I've done marathons, and it takes like 14 hours to watch.
Yeah. I'll do a weekend. I'll do a weekend one weekend.
No,
where I'm like,
I can't do this.
Lord of the Rings movies this weekend. Yeah, I've done.
You have kids.
My legs will fall asleep. I can't say I have kids.
Well, my legs are asleep.
yeah, that's true. So Deke doesn't know. Deke doesn't know any of that stuff. So
I'm a quadriplegic.
Oh, okay.
I broke my neck in a diving accident when I was 20.
Oh goodness.
That's almost 38 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was, I'm sure, I've seen you talk about this kind of stuff on Facebook and how, like, you know, it was hard and it changed your life and stuff.
On my anniversary date, I always post.
Yeah. But I remember you in my memory, because I remember you from the front of class, and you would kind of talk about some of this stuff, and I remember this more of the story of, like, in spite of the fact that you were, injured and lived in a small town where there's like, unless you were in college, there's almost no opportunities whatsoever to make a life in East Texas.
I grew up in Katy.
Back
when Katy was an actual small country town before Houston ate it.
Yes.
Which just pisses me off. I mean, I grew up in the country. I was in FFA, raised hogs. I had a horse. I had a goat. I was in YRA and rode bulls for 3 years, and got a broken hand, 3 concussions, broken foot, more stitches, 9 count. And then I go swimming one day and I break my neck.
Yeah. It changes you don't expect. It radically changed your life, and it changes the entire course of your life. And we're seeing.
I don't know if I ever told y'all this in class before, but when I was in high school, I was a total screw up. I failed my senior year, almost dropped out, went back, graduated 8th from last in my class with a 1.2 GPA, because I had a job building fence that I loved, and that was what I was going to do forever. And then a little over a year later, I break my neck, and it's like, what now?
Right.
But I didn't start college till I was 32. I waited 12 years after my injury.
And when I was in your class, I had left the Army, and I had gone into the workforce for a while. And I think I had actually gotten fired from my job for not, it wasn't the job I was supposed to be in. And having lost my job and now being in my late 20s, I was like, well, I got to do something else. And I had been to college before and failed out of college because I didn't take it seriously. And now as an older student, I went back. I was like, I'm getting through this. And I think I finished in 3.5 years. I was like, I'm not I'm not messing around. I had like a little plan, and I was like, take that class, get it done. And I went to college with like an intent, like I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do something different that nobody's ever done in my family. And I'm going to create an opportunity because there ain't one coming for me. And that was the only way that I could imagine doing it. And then I find myself like in classes with a bunch of different kind of professors, whatever. It's some, lean one way, lean another. But I mean, you for sure make an impact.
Mostly lean one way.
I don't want to characterize people as,
I will.
I will.
Okay, so one of the reasons that I'm excited to talk to you, Lee, is that you have recently, and I'm not familiar with your published, research.
Yeah, I
haven't read it, but
I'm well published in peer-reviewed journal articles and all that, which is one of the reasons I've made it to full professor.
Yes.
So, I started in 2006 as an adjunct and then was a visiting lecturer, then an instructor, then a tenure track assistant, then a tenured associate, and then I made full professor. I did all that in 15 years.
Wow.
And you've made publications in major journals, but recently in the last, I don't know how long you've been working on this, but recently you've also
we can get into that in a minute, but it was released it was released on June 8th. My first novel.
Yes, he's written a novel, and again, I can't even tell you how apropos this is for us in our show because, especially around Halloween time, like we talk
about. I forgot how we. I think you started saying that trans people were.
Yeah, I think it was this. Yes.
What was that? It
started as a werewolf joke for us that we've continued on the show forever.
Yeah.
Insert a werewolf. We even had our
werepersons.
Where's our lichen scribe? Instead of scribe, we have a lichen scribe down here.
Yeah, here.
That
like and subscribe.
He is.
So, so y'all are werewolf fans.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Well, we talk about all kinds of stuff. Like we talk about like intense news, and then sometimes we're like, "So, is Bigfoot real?"
We go from news in the show normally, political news too. At the end of the show, we geek out a little bit because that's how JJ. I call him JJ. JJ and I met through a video game, and he had posted on Reddit that he was starting a podcast. And I had been doing radio for so long and I was playing this game and I offered to help and he come on the show. So
let's do it.
On the show, we got a pretty popular podcast. Marvel sent us to New York. That's when I finally met him.
I live in
Kentucky. So
you're in where? Kentucky?
Western Kentucky, the western part of Kentucky. And we got to meet in New York is the only time that we've actually met. And that was what, like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
It was some years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we started this because we were the only two not left people on the morning show. I got to get the phone. So you can go.
So Lee, I'm definitely going to be seeing you on the 27th. My kids and my wife, we're all going to come down to Katy. It's not that far. It's like an hour. And I'm going to pick up my copy so I hope you still have some when you get there, but I'm going to get one. Yeah. I'm going to get one signed. All right, so let's do. So I'm curious, especially of your opinion of some of the things in the modern political space, and I will say that I think I was probably a little more like radio programmed conservative when I was in college, and I'm not now, but I'm definitely more libertarian minded. Small L, not large, because they're gay. So we got some interesting news happening in this week. I'm gonna start with this, and then we'll go to the Trump stuff that happened this weekend. So it was announced, I think yesterday or the day before, that California is now the first state to ban school rules requiring parents to be notified when a child changes their pronouns. Governor Gavin Newsom signed this law, and it prohibits school districts from making a rule that your little Johnny wants to be called Janice, and be called a girl. And basically this is in some senses the state, under the cover of protecting the privacy of children, actually violating the rights of parents, and essentially, I mean, like, this starts a very negative path, and it's obvious to anyone who has kids that this is not okay.
No.
And as a result of this, Elon Musk, it has said yesterday on Twitter, he's moving SpaceX and he's moving X out of California. It's the last straw. This broke the camel's back. He's moving these two probably most important companies of the 21st century out of California into Texas. And
but he'd already moved Tesla.
He's already moved Tesla, although operates Tesla around the world, but the headquarters of it, into Austin. And I think SpaceX, he's going to move to their like launching facility or whatever they have, and then X will probably move to Austin as well.
I think he also came out that he's going to donate like $200 million a month to pro-Trump PACs or something like that.
It's $45 million a month to pro-Trump PACs. Between now and election day, it will total over $180 million.
Okay.
He's been reluctant. This is one of the richest men in the world, and he knows the power that he has in terms of influence and money. And he has been reluctant to go that far to endorse a candidate, in the modern era. But the shooting, the assassination attempt of Donald Trump, that was like, I can't be cautious anymore. There's no more. I'm presuming a little bit of what he's thinking, but you can infer from the change that he's made. So Donald Trump's assassination attempt.
I was watching that live. I don't know.
How is this changing our country right now?
In I think I was in 8th grade when Reagan was shot, and I'd actually faked sick that day because there was a test I wasn't ready for. And so I was home and I saw that one, and then I was watching live on Saturday. I think so. I'm a libertarian also. I did not vote for Trump in 16 or 20. I didn't vote for Hillary or Joe either. I couldn't endorse any of them. And my main problem with Trump was so I like his policies, but I don't like his man-child tweets and
really? Okay,
and stuff like that. So, but I will tell you this: I've watched all of this unfold. The DOJ going after him, the weaponization, the ruling Monday in Florida that Jack Smith the appointment was unconstitutional. And threw that out, right? I mean, that had Biden's footprints all over it.
Yeah.
Right. Let's be honest. And now they've got to go back. And then the immunity case from the Supreme Court. Now they got to go back to the New York trial because several of the witnesses in that trial were from Trump's inner circle when he was president. So that testimony should have never been heard. No. Now we all know that judge is a diehard liberal and wants to do everything he can. But now that case has got to be thrown out because that testimony never should have been heard.
Sorry, but that's a very interesting case because you're right. It's not just the witnesses, the literal evidence that they brought in, the text messages and memos and that are encompassed under official acts. But the judge has already moved it through the jury, and he wrote those instructions for the jury so that they couldn't not convict him because they were like, well, just whatever you want to be as guilty as guilty. And they
didn't know the charges until closing arguments from the defense. I mean, from the prosecutor, they didn't know the actual charges.
They never linked the original crime to the enhancement. They were able to enhance the misdemeanor.
NDA is not a crime, though.
Right. Yeah, but the only reason they were able to even charge him was because they said that this crime, this misdemeanor event was actually a cover up of a different federal crime, but they never revealed what the different federal crime was. And in fact, the jury instruction said they didn't even have to.
But remember, the FEC saw the same evidence and refused to prosecute.
Yeah.
So then Bragg takes it and bootstraps it to a federal offense in a state court. I've never seen anything like this. And then Saturday's assassination attempt, Jason, sealed it. I'm voting for Trump.
I'm not surprised that you're voting for Trump now. I'm a little I'm not even really surprised that you didn't, because so many people were the opposite of appeal, pushed away by the brashness and the
I was too.
Vainglory of Donald Trump. Personally, in 2016, my impression of Trump was, oh, this guy's a wrecking ball. I don't expect him to come in and make everything nice and neat. I want him to break stuff. I want him to get rid of bad stuff. I don't care if and he didn't do enough of that, in my opinion. But I despised Hillary, and I imagined in my mind in 2016 that Donald Trump was a bull in a china cabinet, and can we just get rid of some bad stuff, because we definitely have so much embedded bad stuff. And I thought he was going to do that, and he did what he could, but he was what's that story with the Lilliputans where they have like a regular sized guy and all the little things that tie him down? And so Gulliver's Travels. He was like the sailor in Gulliver's Travels. He was constantly strapped down with garbage his entire administration.
Russian collusion crap, the dossier from Hillary Clinton. So if it were possible to expunge an impeachment, the first impeachment should be expunged. That was all based on lies.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. It was completely fake, and they knew it. And they knew it the entire time.
Adam Schiff kept
there's
saying he
no
saw
consequence.
Adam Schiff kept saying, or Adam Bullshift kept saying he saw the evidence. There was no evidence. It wasn't.
I remember
there.
He held up like an envelope. I can't, talking about like, we can't show this, but I've seen it. There was an empty envelope. There was nothing ever there. It was always fake.
It was all lies. So, and again, I've just watched him. They've tried to destroy him in every way they could. And then after his presidency. But my point, your original question was, how do I think the assassination attempt is going to affect people? I think it's going to affect a lot of people the same way it affected me. I've never voted for him. Now I am.
Wow.
And I think a lot of people who are on the fence like me, who liked his policies but didn't just all right. I'm a political scientist, right?
Yes, right.
So there's the institution of the presidency, and then there's the president. And one of the things I don't think Trump ever got in his first term is the difference that once you become president, you have to be presidential. And I didn't see that from him. He kept on with the name calling and the tweets and all that. And that kind of disappointed me. So, and again, I did not vote for Hillary or for that senile sack of oatmeal, Joe Biden, who's in the office right now. But I just left President blank and voted down ballot.
Yeah.
But I think Saturday is going to take a lot of people like me. I believe he's going to win the popular vote, and I think he's going to win an electoral mandate now.
Go ahead, Deke.
I liked Trump. I voted for Trump, but I wasn't a diehard Trumper. I did not want, before he was becoming president, my argument on here was that I did not want either one of them. That it was the country was too divided to have either one of them at that
Which
point.
one? In 16 or 20?
In 20.
Okay, I was the same way.
No. Well, no. In for this upcoming election, this is about 2022 on the show. I was arguing that I did not want Trump to be at all. I thought at that point everyone was so divided we need somebody else to come in. But I think that my argument always was, when you said you didn't like him back then, I liked all that brashness because that is what I felt was needed in the political, in the American environment. And my argument to JJ, and you might disagree with me as well. My argument in JJ, and I've tried to convince him this and whatnot, is that I'm a student of history. I wanted to go be a history professor. I was going to, when I started college, that was my goal, was to be a history professor. And I jumped into radio as a side job. And here I am 30 years later in radio, probably pretty glad I'm not a history professor, because I would have gotten kicked out at the early level because I'd have been like, oh, this is a bunch of bull crap. This didn't happen. So anyway, I've been trying to tell JJ that the reason Donald Trump, and I'd argued this for a long time, the reason that I liked him so much was that he was not a politician from birth.
I get that.
Bred and spoon-fed a politician. He was a businessman, and he was shaking things up in this political world. I was like, but we've taken that word political, and that's just a marketing word. I was like, this country is a business. It was established in the 1700s as a business. It's a corporation. We've marketed it as a country, as a republic, as a democracy. And so, I mean, and JJ completely argues with me on that point, but I was like, that's why I think he's so good. He's a businessman.
In his first
business way.
I think when in his first administration, he did what he did in TV, which was, if somebody calls you name, you call him back a name like 10 more times. And, and it was that kind of aggressive posture that got him as far as it did and got him into the presidency. And he carried that on believing that the people who were now his administration were working for him and were going to deliver his agenda. They were working against him the entire time.
It's the deep state.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I also tell my students on the first day of class that our constitutional republic has been replaced with the administrative state. Because let's face it, Jason, you know this, when the founders, we always talk about, 3 co-equal branches of government. The founders thought that the Congress, the legislative branch, would be the most powerful. And then the executive branch was called the executive branch, not the presidency, because his job was to faithfully execute the laws passed by Congress. And then you go back, starting with like Teddy Roosevelt and then Woodrow Wilson, the raging racist piece of crap. He put things in overdrive. And just since then, the presidency has expanded way too much. There's way too much power in the presidency.
Yes, I agree.
But it's also the bureaucracy that's under him. There's 2 million people under him that he has no control over. You can't micromanage 200 million people. 20 million people. So there was the other ruling. I can't remember the name of it, but
Chevron. It was the Chevron case. I think you're talking
Chevron
about.
Case, right?
Yes, sir.
Where that is going to take. I think if he gets back in, he's got a lot more room to kill that deep state crap going on. All the regulations, making their own laws, enforcing their own laws with their own courts. That is totally not what the founding fathers had in mind for the executive branch.
The Chevron case isn't directly tied to the thing that happened with Judge Cannon and the dismissal of the Mar-a-Lago documents case, except that the justification that Merrick Garland gave for the illegal appointment, the unlawful appointment of Jack Smith, is that he was claiming powers under regulations, but regulations, as you know, are invented by the bureaucrats. The Congress will pass some law. You guys are supposed to do that, and then the executive side of things will come along and be like, oh, we're supposed to do this. This is our mission, so we're just going to make up a bunch of rules. And now everybody in America that comes in contact with this agency, whatever it is, now has to follow these rules. Well, these rules are invented by, some
unelected bureaucrats, bureaucrats,
or worse, they were invented by a bunch of lobbyists and political influencers and operatives that are connected to other organizations and other interests that happen to know where these bureaucrats are at. So
that's called the Iron Triangle.
So the Chevron case, though, what it does is it says that the Supreme Court's deference, which back in Chevron, I think it was like 1983 or something like that, maybe roundabouts there. The Supreme Court ruled that when there is no statute giving guidance, courts will defer to the regulations provided by administrative. Well, that's turned over. The Supreme Court said that's not good. That's a bad law, which means that all of the teeth of the regulations eventually being challenged will fall apart.
The administrative state.
Yeah, but it's going to take a long time to dismantle and
weed out. Trump only has 4 years.
Yeah, he has. If he doesn't come in with a bulldozer plan to just destroy stuff and get rid of it, it is going to hang on until he's gone. and then it'll reassert itself.
I want to circle back and get your opinion on something we were talking about a minute ago, about Trump and his attitude in his first, and I agree, and what you said kind of made me realize what the professor said was I can see what you say now. He came in with this attitude and he should have been more presidential. Okay, I see that. I see that now, how you said that. Okay, I'll agree with that. Do you think this assassination attempt will change that mindset? Do you think
mindset of Trump?
Yeah. Do you think he will be?
It seems to have. He's already said he tore up his speech and rewrote it.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. His acceptance speech at the convention, he said he tore it up and he rewrote it to be more unifying.
Wow.
Y'all haven't heard that one?
No,
I haven't heard that. No, I've seen some of the stuff from RNC, but the RNC is going on like 12 hours a day or something with like people speaking for 3 or 4 minutes at a time, most of which I don't want to listen to. I watched Amber Rose. I watched the Teamsters. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
For the first time in 121 years, the president of the Teamsters addressed the Republican National Convention. And this won't mean much to norm people that are, doing their day jobs and, whatever. But this is a massive loss for Democrats for the Teamsters to address them.
I don't know if y'all are old enough to remember Reagan Democrats.
I was born in 1977. So I was young in the
80s. Same
so
around about the same thing.
In 1984, Reagan carried 49 states.
Although I did vote for Reagan in 1984. We had a little like third grade everybody in the school got to get in lines and go elect, and nobody knew anything, but there was a red box and a blue box, and I remember clearly voting for Reagan.
Well, 84 was my first presidential election. I turned 18 in June of 84.
Oh, wow.
So I got to vote for Reagan. Reagan's my all-time hero, presidential-wise. I forgot where I was going with that now.
I'm sorry.
Me too.
This is the way things go. He calls these, what do you call those? Rabbit
trails.
Rabbit trails.
Audibles.
Trails, yeah.
Audibles. Go with football.
Yeah.
Call an audible, and I got lost. I don't know how we got back to Reagan, but
Democrats. Reagan Democrats. You said
Reagan Democrats, right?
Yeah, we remember
so
those.
The teams, the head of all these unions may endorse Democrats, but the rank and file don't.
Yeah,
the members, and that was what happened with Reagan. I mean, he won 49 states, all but Minnesota, where Mondale was from, and he didn't win D.C. Shocker. And I'm not saying Trump's going to win 49 states. That would be ridiculous to think. But the rank and file of the unions, they don't follow the leadership. They're going to vote. I think the majority of them are going to vote for Trump. Trump is like 8 points behind in New York right now, and virtually tied in Virginia. Now he won't win New York, and he may lose Virginia by a point or two, but he was 22 points down in New York.
Yeah,
about that in Virginia. That what people don't seem to understand is okay. So he loses New York, but if he closes that gap, that means he's carrying the popular vote too.
Not only that, further down the ballot, if enough people in New York are enthused about Trump just on patriotic grounds of like somebody tried to kill Donald Trump and that's not okay, and if enough conservative leaning people in New York vote for Trump, and if enough liberal default Democrats are unenthused about the Biden ticket,
independents too.
Yeah, they may not show up to fight, which means that Donald Trump may not win New York, but he might get more turnout in some of the districts in New York, which means people like AOC might have a tough fight to even keep their seats. And
I think AOC's safe.
Yeah, she's safe, but there's other districts in New York that are closer in borderline. She's just a figurative figure.
I think Donald Trump won more states in the last election than he really did, but you know how my tinfoil.
Yeah.
Brain.
So I want to show you guys something and see if you've seen this, because I wanted
to show you something too.
Okay.
I've got a video to show you.
This is
I've seen this. It's insane.
This is how close we were between two divergent realities.
Side by side here. Pull that down. Let me show you this side by side one. Oh, here, let me. This one, you gotta see it better.
There you go. Yeah. Look at that. That is how close we came.
No, I know.
Between. I don't think anybody, I mean, it gets stated somewhat, but I don't know that any of us can actually understand how close we came to perhaps an actual civil war.
It said,
well,
Trump recounted how he turned his head at the last moment to glance at illegal immigration statistics displayed on the large jumbotron, reportedly telling former White House Director Ronnie Jackson, that chart I was looking at saved my life. If I hadn't pointed at it and turned my head to look, that bullet would have hit me right in the head.
Yep. I was watching it live, and it came down to milliseconds and millimeters. That's the difference.
No, I want to follow this up, Deke, with unless you're staying on this because there is so immediately after the event there was like Biden had to pull down his attack ads because I'm not sure how much Biden is aware that he's causing this problem, but the people around him are like, oh, geez, yeah, but they won't admit that they're ramping up the Donald Trump is Hitler. And they're saying this all the time.
I've got a little.
He's a fascist. He's a Hitler.
Yeah,
he's
and if you convince stupid people that Donald Trump is Hitler, some stupid person out there is going to be like, I'm going to save the world and stop Hitler. That's what's going to happen. But that is the messaging of the Democratic Party.
Well, y'all heard that. Biden also said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye.
Oh yeah, in the bullseye. Yeah, that was actually tweeted. He that one of his fake pretend people that tweets on X for him posted that on X. They pulled that tweet down. They pulled it down, which is evidence of that was wrong to say, and that you're causing this problem. They're doing damage control. They're trying to excuse themselves from creating the environment. In fact, even Vladimir Putin said that it's obvious to everyone in the world that this administration, Biden administration, they may not have called the shot to kill Donald Trump, but they created the environment where it would happen. So they created the atmosphere where it would happen.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tweets here from Joe Biden's Twitter account. MAGA Republicans are a threat, greatest threat, genuine threat to our democracy. Trump poses many threats, greatest threat, we lose everything. Those are all highlighted from these tweets here.
Yeah, in one of my Facebook posts where I got into some arguments with some former students who are diehard Democrats, right?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I made the point, was the man who died shielding his daughter a MAGA extremist, evil human being? No, he was someone who went to a rally to support the candidate of his choice.
Yeah.
And he lost his life.
Yeah.
Because of rhetoric.
Yep.
Baskets of deplorables all the way back to Hillary.
Words.
There are so now that they've caused this problem, and now that this lever has been pulled, there's been a seismic shift in now when I say seismic shift, it's a massive shift, but it takes so much to move normies 1 point. It takes a tremendous event to move normies 1 point because they don't even pay attention. They don't really know what's happened. But this is such a massive event, and it's such a big change that if you are a person like yourself or even us that pays attention to what's going on in the news and in politics and whatever, you recognize this is pivotal. This is a pivotal moment. I think that this story is evidence that is evidence of either one thing or another. So I'm going to pull this up. This ran on Breitbart yesterday. A report: U.S. officials received intel of an Iranian plot to assassinate Trump before Timothy Crook's attempt. So this is evidence of one of two things. Either the federal government, the most powerful government in the world, the entire planet, was aware of an Iranian plot to assassinate the president, and they assigned the Barbie team to protect Donald Trump. Or option two, this is a cover to excuse themselves in some way, like, oh, it's not our fault. Iran's trying to kill the president. So if the assassination attempt had succeeded, they would be able to blame Iran for killing the president, even though it was some kooky, crazy person in Philadelphia.
What I think this is a cover for, Jason, is that after they're saying after they got this report that Iran was planning to assassinate Trump, they're saying that they increased his Secret Service detail. That's what that's a cover for.
Yeah, increased it with
the service detail was changed at the last minute.
Do y'all know about the head?
Charge had never been in charge of anything like that before.
Do y'all know about the head of the Secret Service right now? I forget her name.
Yeah, Kimberly Cheetos.
Yeah,
she was.
She was part of his VP detail.
Yeah, Biden's.
And then she went to work for Pepsi, and he brought her back.
Yeah.
Have y'all heard about her 30-30 plan?
Mm-mm.
No. Oh yes, she. Yeah,
30% female, 30% minority. And again, I was watching this live, but then they went back and they reshowed it. And look, we recently had our first female SEAL, but she went through the same. She went through the same training as the men,
and she
made it.
She made it. Wow,
she made it.
Then
right,
great.
Exactly, right.
Awesome.
But when y'all saw Trump's Secret Service detail, there was one small woman.
Yeah,
who couldn't cover her body to save her life, his life to save her life. But when they enhanced the audio, she was on the ground saying, "What do we do now? What do we do now?
What do we do?"
She was not Secret Service. She was an augment to the Secret Service deployment. Secret Service had their A team. Either they were overworked or they had resources drawn to go to the Joe Biden event. So Department of Homeland Security sent extra DHS agents to supplement Secret Service. This is in addition to the local, the exterior, the outer perimeter being worked by the local law enforcement. But this woman right here, this woman that you're seeing on screen. You can't hear me. Can you? Deke, what did you do?
I can't hear y'all.
Oh, you must have. Did you mute yourself?
I don't have audio.
I don't know what's going on. I can't turn off your audio. So did you touch something?
Hang on. Hang on. I'm gonna pull him out and pull him back in to see.
Y'all
Can
there?
you hear us now? Can you hear us now?
I can't hear y'all.
Oh my gosh. Check your speakers or your audio output or something.
You.
Reload.
Here.
Web page. Or check your audio.
I don't. Can you can still hear me? Can't you, JJ?
Yeah, of course I can hear you. Yeah. Okay. Well, so he'll come back in a second. Let's see if he comes back now. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear us now?
I couldn't hear y'all for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can hear us now. Yeah, we can't change your audio out. So Restream does this sometimes.
Yeah, it's screwy with audio sometimes.
So Jason had pulled up something that I couldn't hear you talking about.
Okay, so don't pull the picture back up. The woman that you're talking about, the one that couldn't cover and was saying, "What do we do? What do we do?" She was not a Secret Service. She was a DHS. She works for Department of Homeland Security. They were a supplemental force to the Secret Service that was deployed, and the Secret Service that was deployed was not Trump's A team. They were his people were either overworked or resources were drawn to go to the Joe Biden event.
The Joe Biden,
and this is after the Iranian threat.
Smart. Exactly. That's exactly my point.
Conspiracy brain, because JJ is very left brained. I'm very right brain. We're yin and yang. And so here's my conspiracy brain. You put your Iranian thing up there, like you said, so that you could potentially blame it if he was killed. We saw by the grace of God himself turn his head, and all those little things lined up, chart, jumbotron for the first time ever. All this lined up so that he turned his head. Okay. Those two little pieces kind of you want to put a couple of pieces of tinfoil on your head, not the whole hat, but just a couple of pieces. Let me tell you another one that's coming out on Twitter. Okay. And I've read this in 2 or 3 different places, and they're showing 2 or 3, these Wall Street guys. Okay. now that we know hindsight's 2020, now that we know 9/11, we saw that the stocks for those airlines dropped, huge sell-off in a couple of days before 9/11 happened. Guess what happened a couple of days before the assassination attempt?
I don't know.
Huge sell-off of Donald Trump media, the media.
DJT?
Huge sell-off. All right. So somebody placed a massive 8 million share bet that Trump media, DJT, would inexplicably collapse this week.
Yeah, that's a short.
To people outside the finance world, this does not happen without a leak of non-public information. Going to the RNC, securing Trump's nomination, we should have seen the opposite activity, with bets for shares increasing being placed on Trump driving traffic to Truth Social as the nominee and potential president. For decades, the cleanest proof of foreknowledge of 9/11 has been the airline stock shorts, but was explained by terrorists leaking knowledge beforehand, or who leaked knowledge of,
Okay, so that's
this.
That's not definitive evidence, but it is like, it's highly suspicious, like a big sell-off, expecting, which is
a chart here. I don't want to bring up anything in case it screws up audio again.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting to look into, at least.
So there is a couple of other things. So in the wake of the last couple of days, there has been the FBI and the DHS are warning of potential retaliatory attacks following the attempted assassination of Trump. The federal government is insinuating that the crazy right, who doesn't even protest, they don't even leave their houses, the MAGA conservatives, they attempt to overthrow the government with by leaving all their guns at home and taking a podium and with memes. They are insinuating that the right will retaliatory attack people because of the attack on Trump. However, in what is actually happening is that yesterday a guy with a gun was arrested outside RNC. And this is not the guy that got killed by cops, because that guy was with a knife and that was just some personal beef. This is a different guy that's trying to get to the RNC with guns. So,
I'll also point out that the political assassination attempts we've seen, let's go back to the Sanders supporter who shot up the congressional Republicans' practice game for
the Scalise, Steve Scalise, yes.
And then
he's the victim, yeah.
And then the nut job who drove from California to kill Kavanaugh when the Dobbs case was released.
Yeah,
that's right. That's what we've seen from the left. We haven't seen that from the right.
No,
well, I think we've seen other stuff from the left, but they keep that stuff. They do not report that stuff.
I do not think that we're gonna the DOJ, Garland. Thank God he was not put on the Supreme Court. And, Mitch McConnell is, it's time for him to go. Turtlehead needs to go. But thank God he did not put Garland on the Supreme Court.
He got booed. Mitch McConnell got booed at the RNC.
I know. But let's all be thankful that Garland's not on the Supreme Court. I don't think they're going to release any motives related to this shooting until after the election.
No.
They're going to sit on it.
We got his phone, but there's nothing in there. Okay.
And they keep saying he was a registered Republican. Right?
Thanks, Deacon. I'll talk to you later. Deke's got to go do interviews.
Yeah, I've got stuff going on here at the station, but I want to say thank you for being on the show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would very much love to have you back anytime, because I want to continue the conversation.
Oh yeah, let's talk about my book next time.
Yes, absolutely. And talk about it here in a minute. I've just got to run here early, but I will get that finished and send it to him so he can send it to you.
All right. Sounds good. It's nice meeting you.
Thank you
for being on.
All
yes, nice to meet you.
All right.
You too.
See you, Deacon. All right, man. I'm going to drop him out. So, I'm actually, this is it's so fun to be able to like talk to somebody that is, aware of what's going on and has a different perspective. I really appreciate that. If it weren't for the fact that,
well, I also want to say, let's not leave the media out of this. They have, no pun intended, they have trumpeted all the liberal talking points. I mean,
yes.
Jake Tapper, who moderated that debate, referred to Trump as Hitler as well.
Yeah.
I mean, so
I have this opinion that the kind of people that become politicians are generally sociopaths. Yeah, they're obviously narcissistic and they, sniff their own farts or whatever. They think they're great. But the kind of people that generally try to get into political power, try to get into office, tend to be sociopaths, people that want power. And that is also true for journalists, except the journalists are more often also drunks. And they're in some sort of they obviously don't have a dedication to craft and truth. They have a dedication to getting headlines and published and achieving power and status and authority in some way, and borrowing credibility and authority by working for the Washington Post, the New York Times, and becoming I
don't know if you saw this or not, Jason, but the day after the assassination, CNN's headline was Trump falls on stage.
Yeah. Oh, the next day, even?
No, nothing about a shooting. It said Trump falls on stage, like when Biden tripped over the sandbag. The New York Times was shooting at Trump rally, and then the Washington Post was shots fired at Trump rally. Yeah. None of them referred to it as an assassination attempt.
Not one.
And that's because Biden came out the night before and wouldn't refer to it as assassination attempt, remember?
Yeah, he said, I have an opinion, but I'm waiting for facts. Yeah. I know that happened in that moment because I was aware of the shooting about 20 minutes after it happened. And then it was like everything I was doing for the next hour or two was chasing down every bit of information I could. And immediately after the shooting, those headlines appeared, like you said, Trump falls, Trump hears loud sounds, Trump leaves the stage or whatever. Nothing about the assassination.
Shooting at rally, but not an assassination attempt.
So the journal, and there were press and media were there. They cover those rallies. They are always there. They know that wasn't just somebody falling, and they did not run the headlines that marked the truth, which was some gunman took a shot at the president and injured people at the scene, and then actually
killed somebody,
killed the one. But you couldn't tell that immediately, but you could tell somebody was injured because people were trying to help the guy.
Right.
So the press on scene couldn't figure out that someone had just attempted to kill the president of the United States and tell it honestly.
They knew, Jason.
Yeah, I know they knew. Yeah.
But Biden's statement that night gave them cover to not refer to it as an assassination attempt.
So this is why I say
that's the way they wanted to frame it. Since you've left SFA, I now teach a class called Political Media Research.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah. And on day one, I tell my students, spoiler alert, the mainstream media is liberal.
Yeah. And they're liars.
They're liberals and they're liars. Yeah. But they are diehard liberals. And so Trump's running against Biden. He's running against the media. Yeah. He's running against the DOJ.
Yeah.
He's got 3 opponents in this race.
And all of the bureaucrats in the agencies, every single one. So because even if they have conservative politics, those bureaucrats, they want to keep their jobs and they want to keep their pensions and they want to keep their power and authority, the little petty tyrant powers that they have accumulated over the years. They don't want to lose any of that. So it doesn't matter even if they politically agree with some of the policy positions of Donald Trump, they will still work against him because it's in their self-interest to preserve the status quo. The reason why I mentioned that politicians are sociopaths and that media are sociopaths, people that work in media, journalists, by and large, not every single one, but most are sociopaths, is this. As the winds of history have shifted and are now blowing hard for Trump and for populist politics, hard for America First, this kind of things, the media has been able to run against all of that for years, but as the public consciousness absolutely changes, the parasites in media will change their positions too, and they will move it. They will pivot to a new set of story points or whatever that they will continue to run that may appear to be more conservative, but it's actually just they're parasites. And so some of the far left will be abandoned. Some of the ignoring of Antifa or violent protests and extreme leftists, and which these are actual organizations that attack people, and the media gives them cover and doesn't report on it. Instead, they tell you that white supremacy is the greatest threat to the nation. We find a white supremacist. I can't find any. I can't. Where are they? I don't know. So I think that that bullet clipping Donald Trump's ear changed the normal populace in the consciousness of normal people. Not a lot, but a little. But that little is a little enough to drive market share away from CNN, Fox News, etc. And those journalists will reposition themselves slightly to the middle.
I'm not sure about
not because they believe it, but because it's expedient and they get to keep power.
I'm not sure, man. I mean, CNN and MSNBC never had higher ratings than when Trump was president and they were going after him every day.
Oh yeah, no, they totally hate the guy. Yes,
I know. And when Biden won, their media share just dropped.
It could be short term though. I mean, the assassination might have just been a minor setback, and they will continue to march left.
But see, on George Stephanopoulos on his Sunday show, the day after the shooting, the assassination attempt, they had some guest on. I didn't watch it. I saw clips. They had some guest on who was talking about the rhetoric from the left and how they need to dial it down. And then they went to some old hag. I can't remember her name. She's been in journalism forever. And she pointed out that when Trump got up and waved his fist and hollered, "Fight, fight, fight," that was incendiary speech as well. So they just don't get it, Jason.
In my opinion, that photo and that clip are look, even if you have like an overall negative opinion of Trump, and I've seen this from people who are genuinely like not Trump, they like generally just don't like Trump. They have seen clips like that or that photo, and they admit that photo that is the most Iwo Jima photo of the last century.
Yeah, the picture of him with his fist up and the American flag upside down.
Yeah.
In the back. Oh, by the way, also the day after, right? So that iconic photo of him with his fist in the air, blood on his face, and pumping his fist, and the American flag upside down in the background. The next day in the Washington Post, they zoomed in so close that only part of the flag was visible. And in the New York Times, they edited the flag out of the picture.
They did not. They edited it out, really?
Yep, they did. They took the picture out. They took the flag out. So that's the dishonesty of the media going right now.
I honestly would like to have you on as often as you want to come on, but the things like media it's not that they're lies necessarily, but they're dishonest. Often they are lies, but even when they tell the truth, they present it in a way that conveys a message that is other than true, and it's other than honest. It's called dishonest.
It's called agenda setting, framing, and priming. Those are the three ways the media can. And so when they edited out the flag, that's called framing. They did that in a specific way. The one just completely edited the flag out, and then the other zoomed in so close all you can see was the corner of the flag. That's framing it in a certain way so it does not convey that upside down flag, which indicates that America is in distress. And at that moment, America was in distress.
That well, I mean, this just we could go on and on. So much to say about it. I do want to. Okay, so Andy's working on an audio commercial for your book, but I'll be talking about your book more in the future. It's available on. Where's the best place? I know it's on Amazon. Is that the best place for people to get it? If they're interested?
Amazon is the only place you can get the paperback. You can get the ebook on any other platform out there.
Okay, and so when are you going to be writing the other two? Have you got the story in your mind, or have you got what's the process for you, by the way, in terms of writing a novel?
I finished the second one, The Cloud. It's about vampires.
Oh my God.
It's done. And I'm working on the third one, The Gathering, about a dark coven. And they all take place in fictional Pineview County, East Texas. And since you've been up here and you know the area, if I were going to place it, it'd be like where Alto is.
Okay.
Remember where Alto is?
Yeah.
Because SFA is in it. You know, it's I've even got frogs and flashbacks in the book. So it's a fictional county. It's a fictional county, but if you were going to place it in East Texas, it'd be around about the Alto area.
Well, I haven't got it yet, but I mean, I fully intend. I wanted to get it signed, so I wanted to get it when I see you in Katy in a couple of weeks. Very excited about that.
Saturday the 27th.
Well, so if anytime you want to, the door is open. And honestly, I could still learn so much from your things you have to say about anything that's going on in politics, culture, but also like media. Like I'm sure that you have opinions about things like the I don't know, modern Disney, and you know the political
wokeness.
Oh my God. Listen, I got kids. I got 2 little girls. Since I've met you, I've been married, but my wife and I adopted 2 little girls.
I know.
And you know, it's kind of an excuse. I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of an excuse for me to talk about this stuff but I do care about this stuff. You know, like I genuinely incense me that people behave this way and treat women and girls like the erasure of women and girls.
Hang on
my own
yes, hang on 1 second. I got a plumber coming out.
Yeah, you do. We gotta go. I'm so excited. I want my kids to not have to deal with this whenever they get old enough to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm here. Are they? All
right, folks.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I will. I want to make a quick point that.
Yeah, certainly.
Like 5-6 years ago, and look, I'm libertarian. You be you, right?
Yeah.
If you're trans, if you're gay, you be you.
I don't care. Yeah.
But 5 years ago, the population of the United States that considered themselves trans was like 0.2%. Now it's up to 20.
It's crazy.
It's a trend.
Yeah.
It's a trend.
But people are making decisions in this trend that's going to affect them the rest of their lives.
Right. And the schools should not be indoctrinating people. And that's where the trend starts, is in the school. I won't use names, but I had a student over the last few years who, when was in my class, was a trans male.
Yeah.
Then went back to identifying as female and now identifies as non-binary. She's confused.
Yeah. There's honestly, we could talk about that for like so much, because it's like delayed puberty or blockers or honestly, people have always had confusion when they're adolescents and going through puberty, and puberty solves that confusion. You get through it and you're like, oh, okay.
In England just blocked puberty blockers for people under 18.
Yeah.
And liberals are always looking to Europe as like the bastion of all the great policies. England
when it's convenient.
When it's convenient. But England blocked puberty blockers for kids under 18.
Yes.
But, California, they're still pushing for it here. And, look, you see how much ink I have now.
Yeah.
Right?
I've seen
We the People right here, right?
Yeah.
On my neck. You can't get a tattoo when you're under 18 because it permanently changes your body.
Yeah.
But you can get puberty blockers and you can have your breast removed or your genitalia removed when you're under 18.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. You're absolutely. So that's one of the reasons that I kind of talk about this stuff, is like, because overall I'm like, you do you, I don't care what you do. Just, I don't want to hear about it. But when it comes, when I think about public engagements in my kids, and like, I don't want people saying that stuff around my kids. I don't want that to be the world they live in. They live in a fantasy bubble that I create, and they get to live in that as long as I can keep them in there. And like one of the things, I took them to a bookstore once, and then like there was like a guy dressed as a girl with his boyfriend or whatever. And, and I was like, dude, you better not go near the bathroom while my kids go in there. And that was, I don't want that. I don't want that influence.
Some of these books are extremely graphic.
Oh,
they're in elementary school. Talk about oral sex, anal sex. I mean, it's insane.
In school, the schools. Wow.
In schools, in libraries.
I know you got to go, and I will just say this one last thing. I pretty often I go to bookstores with my kids, and I go to like comic book stores, and I take my kids. I'm teaching my kids to read. You know, I'm getting them things that they'll read so that they'll read. And I've gone into comic book stores. I've gone into bookstores, and there will be shelves of rainbow colored books year round at eye level of my kids. And every time I see one of those, I'm just like, well, I mean, I'm just not going to bring my kid in here anymore, because I don't, that's not a question they need to even like entertain right now.
But they're in school libraries where you can't see it.
Yeah.
There have been parents at these, school meetings who are reading from books in the school libraries. And, they have to actually, when they play it on TV, they have to mute what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. The people that try to read the excerpts into city hall council meetings and things like that.
Yeah, council meetings. Yeah.
Yeah. They get taken offline. Well, Lee, I'm sorry. Let's think of something else. Lee, I'm so glad you made time to come talk to us again. For really, if you ever want to come by again, or as often as you want, I really would love to have you around. But I'm gonna let you go do your plumbing. I'm gonna go take my kids to gym. And this was just so fun.
All right, give my love to your wife and kids.
I will.
It's great seeing you.
All right, thanks everybody. Here's the outro.
Okay.
Politicians and talking heads lying left and right. You can help us bring facts into the light. Don't let your dog